Hello, tubers! Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, and welcome to Coopersthaiadventures. Welcome back, and today's topic is condos, buying versus renting. Few points I wanted to put out, and certainly look for feedback. Initially, I came here looking strictly to rent. And I've been here now going on 7 months, and I'm starting to say, well, there's maybe an issue or an idea behind buying a condo. So, I'll get into that more at the end, but initially, I'll go over some reasons why I was looking to rent. And in Jomtien area, Pattaya, there's oodles and oodles of condos available to rent. Now, we are coming into high season, so, they're starting to rent. And the prices tend to be a little firmer, in some cases, up from what you could get in low season. High season meaning, starting in roughly towards the middle of October till about the middle of April, end of April. So that would be your high season. But again, with renting, there's ample to choose from. And they're building more, it seems, each month. You'll see ground, breaking on new units going up. But obviously, the more supply, whether it's new or used, you have more options to look at. The other thing I liked about it renting initially was the flexibility. If I didn't like the building or the area, again, this was my first time here, you have flexibility to, move. And, that was an idea I thought would be nice. You also have a flexibility with renting is your length of term. Now, because it was my first time, I did think I found a building I liked, and I did. And because of that, I was able to secure a great deal on a year's lease. And you can actually even probably do better with paying up front for that year. So that would be something to consider if you're looking at renting. Another issue I looked at, I keep my money in the West, say, earning interest, and right now it's fantastic. I think you can get 6% on short-term investments that are secure. So that's a pretty good return in today's market versus maybe a year ago you were getting 1%. So that's quite a change there. Another thing I thought about renting, and this has happened, it gives me time to research, do I want to buy? Buying something sight unseen, I think people sometimes do that from the West. I don't recommend it. It's better, in my opinion, and which I'm doing, is coming here initially, getting my feet wet, boots on the ground, so to speak, and hey, where do I want to be? What size do I want to be in? Do I need new or used? These are all things you can have time to digest when when you're in the area. And lastly, it gives you time to locate a couple things that I think are critical. And one is getting a good agent. You might not end up just with one agent. It's a little different here than the West with MLS services. No, there's, agents everywhere, and obviously getting one that you trust and, can communicate effectively with is critical. But even more so, in my opinion, is getting a good lawyer on side if you're looking at ever doing a purchase. And, you'd want to have that in place should you decide to buy. And the reason I'm mentioning all this is, down the road, I would look at buying a condo here, but I'll get into that later. So now that's kind of the reasons you'd want to look at renting. Now let's look at the buying option. Typically, most people here, there's two options. You buy new or you buy used, obviously. The used seems to be like oodles of used condos. Obviously, different states of repair on different buildings, and that's something you would look at. Typically, with a used one, you're going to have to be dealing with owner on owner or agent with the owner, say, where when you buy off, say, new construction, you're typically buying with the developer. So that's, there's pros and cons of both there. But with the new construction, it's, there's two types. You can buy off plan, which can have its own issues, or ready to move in. Typically, if you're looking at off plan, you're going to get, if you're early, a real good deal because they want to get this thing started. I would only consider buying off plan if it was a reputable developer. In other words, I want to see them with a track record that they've completed buildings in the past. So, having a 10 or 20 year track record, and a lot of these developers are listed on the Thai Stock Exchange, so they're regulated and they've got to be there for years. But if it's a brand new developer and you're buying off plan, I'd be somewhat leery. But so that's the off-plan benefits there. You do have more choices, typically a better deal up front. If you're in early, you're going to get a great value. Obviously, buying ready to move in, and where we are, it's kind of like a ready to move in. So, you're possibly paying more to buy than you would initially, but that's the reason. It's there, it's ready to take over, and you get what you see. The benefits of new also is your appliances are going to be new. There's going to be warranties on them. There's a warranty on the units, the buildings. These developers have set up sinking funds and that, so that's the benefit of new, and it's yours long term. Everyone I'm not a handy guy, so for me to renovate something or fix something, I don't want anything to do with that. That's why new construction would probably be in the cards for me down the road. Now, with getting back to the used, if you're handy, you can probably get deals here. There's many reasons. Typically, your buyer here is going to be an expat, an older fellow, and you have thousands and thousands of owners, expats. There's always, sometimes people have passed away. They've decided it's not for them. There's health issues. They're leaving. There could be a situation where if you're in the right place at the right time, you're going to get a heck of a buy. It's typically going to be an as-is purchase, though. So, that's it. Cash does talk. So, if you've accumulated your funds and you've got it in cash, yeah, that's going to, definitely get you the best deal. There is oodles and oodles to look at in the used segment. And, lastly, the building will have a track record. So if it's a 10-year, 15, 20-year-old building, it'll have a track record on, what's the condition like? Has it been maintained? Is there renovations that are needed? You'll see that, and, your lawyer can do research on that should there be liens or anything like that against the building. History, turnover history. I would say if you're looking at used, talk to the fellow owners in the building and see what they say about is the management good, and how are they long term, are they short term? And I think you want to stay away from buildings that have Airbnbs and daily rentals. That's not maybe the situation you want to get into, but anyways, that's on the buying thing. Now, what I did is I did speak to the management office here, Jeeb in particular, about buying a unit in Dusit. What's involved in the fee structure of that? And she was kind enough to give me their price list. A studio here, they have them for sale at 2.5 million baht, a one bedroom at 2.8 million baht, and a two bedroom at 4.8 million baht. And your square meters on these are 25, roughly 35, and 61 meters, respectively. I'm going to focus on the one bedroom, which is what I'm in, at 2.8 million baht. The common fees, so in the West, and I mean, I've had condos, I've had property, I've had buildings. There's a maintenance fee, and you have to budget that in. Even if you're paying cash for your unit, what's the monthly maintenance fees going to run? And typically they start at 40 baht per square meter per month, up to, you can get as high as over, 100 baht per month. This current unit here is at 40 baht, so you're about 1,380 baht per month. And that's, I think that's like $35 roughly, for a maintenance fee. Now, to me, that seems ridiculously cheap because, in the West, I was paying 600 a month for a 2-bedroom condo, 2-bath. Nice building, don't get me wrong, beautiful, but how could they be so cheap here? Well, I mean, the wages are a lot less here, and with newer buildings, typically you'll find the fees might tend to go up. So even if you budget, at 60 or 70 baht per month, it's not the end of the world on the dollars per month compared to the West. So it is actually a factor to look at, but it's very affordable, is my point. Now, here's something tremendous. The taxes here, and I refer to them as property taxes on your unit, they're ridiculously low. It's under 1,000 baht per year on these one bedrooms. And, my research, that's typical. So you don't have to worry about property taxes being a major component. In the West, it was getting to be ridiculous, the property taxes, and I can only see that going up along with maintenance in the West. So if you're considering a buy here, that's going to be huge savings for you on your property taxes as well as your common area fees. Now, there is a sinking fund fee when you buy into a new project like this, and that on the one bedroom it was 500 baht per square meter on this. So that's not out of the world. That's like about a $500 fee roughly. It's 500 per square meter. So on a 35 square meter, you're about 17,500 baht, and that's a one-time only. And the sinking fund basically puts money into like a reserve, so should something break or need replacing, that's where they build the fund up. And I'm sure it's, invested to earn something while they're, sitting there. It's quite common. It's common everywhere. So, and lastly, you're going to have some meter hookups, and that's minuscule. It's like 2,000 baht for a water meter, 3,000 baht for a electric meter. So that's nothing to write home about. And that's, again, a one-time fee. If you go to a 2-bedroom, the water meter is the same cost of hookup. The electric meter just jumped to 8,000. Again, it's not the end of the world. Now, they do have a transfer fee of 2%. Now, typically, a lot of places, they tend to split that, but this is what the buyer here is required to pay, 2%. So that, you have to factor that in when you're looking at 2.8 million baht, that's 56,000 baht. So, that's about 1,700 bucks. So, it can add up too, but that's a one-time fee, and that covers the paperwork. Now, over and above that, as I mentioned prior, you'd want to have a lawyer involved, and typically the lawyers here are a lot cheaper than the West, but they're, not as cheap as you might think. A good lawyer is going to run you on a transfer like this, and that'll be registration, make sure you have the deed in your name, probably between 40 and 50,000 baht for the whole process. So, $1,200 to $1,500 American, and that would need to be factored in. So that's a brief overview. There's, as you're probably aware, with condo ownership, only 49% of any new project can be owned by foreigners. Obviously, your agent and your lawyer will ensure that that's what you're getting. You want to make sure it's under the Condominium Act, any new development has to be under that to be legal. So that's what you want to make sure, your lawyer gets that checked out. But I think having a good track record with a developer who's done these in the past, that's a good indication. Having a good lawyer on your side is obviously a requirement. And then, a good agent that you can converse with in English to understand everything and that they know the process gets you started. In closing, would I buy or rent? I'm glad I rented to start, and I actually didn't think I would want to buy here. But having been here for 7 months and seeing what's available and becoming more familiar with the process, I can see myself very easily in the future, when circumstances permit, buying. And, you're going to get the location you want, the size you want, the price you want, and you'll be in a position where, hey, that's important to you and you can afford it. So that's, in my future, hopefully that'll be it. And what's going to precipitate that? Bitcoin to the moon. That's what. Anyways, without further ado, I'll sign off. Thanks again for watching. Please comment if you've got ideas, and also hit the like and subscribe button. That really helps out the channel. And stay tuned until next time. God bless.